You must have seen people talking about any person that this particular man has got a very good strength, very high energy level. Okay, in case of weightlifting, you see a weightlifter can carry up to 100 kg of load on his shoulders. Okay, so we say that he has got a very good strength and he can pick up 100 kg of load. But the same weightlifter, if you put another 20 kg of load, he will not able to carry it out and he will fail, or maybe he can fall also. So that could be the situation when we are putting more weight compared to his internal strength or internal energy of his body. His body is capable of carrying only 100 kg maximum load, which he can carry easily. So this is one example. The other example I can show you that when I was young, I used to do exercise using this chest expander having 3 springs. When I started in the beginning, I was not able to pull it up because maybe the combined strength of these 3 springs were higher than my energy level and I was not able to pull them up. Then I removed one middle one and I started using these 2 springs only, and I was able to pull it out comfortably. So I started doing this exercise through 2 springs only, and for a long time I did it. But after some time I found that they are yielded out. Means there is some amount of deformation is carrying on. And after again some time, when I used to carry out the exercise regularly, they started, and at the time came that they deformed totally and they were not able to come to their original shape. Okay. So again it shows that this time the combined energy of these 2 springs internal is less than my own strength or my own internal energy. So the same principle is being applied in tensile testing also. I will tell you in the afterwards in chapter 6. And it's not only tensile strength. Material has got 5 more strength properties like compression strength, bending strength, torsal strength, shear strength, and fatigue strength. So all these 6 strengths I have shown with a picture also in the photograph with their life, daily life exposure application, which you can correlate with their system. And I am also showing tensile forces which are carrying on this different type of stresses like tension, compression and all those things, and with a different direction of forces. I have not shown this fatigue because in fatigue case it is only that alternating strengths, like spring also you see it alternates. This is the motion. Okay. Similarly, you take engineering application like gears, they also rotate. Then there are half axle shafts. Okay. So number of things are there where they are in a rotating position, either rotate or they will fluctuate like this. So this is a particular case of fatigue testing which I have not shown it here. Okay. But I am not in a position to carry out all these things. I am particularly concentrating on tensile testing. So I will go with tensile testing only. So without taking your much time, let me start this chapter 6 on tensile testing. Hello friends. This is my first video in English. For those who are not familiar with Hindi language, and I hope that this video in English will serve the purpose for those people. MQC series, Metallurgical Quality Series 1, Part 6 on tensile testing, which I will be covering in this particular video. But before I go in detail, let me remind you of my previous videos which I have already uploaded on YouTube, like Part 0, Introduction, types of tests, various types of tests that I will be doing. Then Chemical Analysis. Part 2 is on hardness testing, brittle hardness test. Part 3 is on Rockwell hardness testing. Part 4 is on Vickers hardness test. And Part 5 is a portable or celluloscope hardness testing. These 6 videos I have already covered in my previous videos. Okay, so without wasting much time, let us go to the main topic, that is on tensile testing. So, what are the things that I'll be covering in this particular part 6 is types of tensile test equipments, test methods, procedures, precautions during tricking, and problems and their possible solutions. These things I will take care in this particular video. So first was types. What are the various types of tensile testing? See, one type of is for steels or metals like steel, copper, aluminium and all those things. And the other one is, it's basically for elastomers like rubber, plastics and all those things. For both this system, there are different kind of machines. But since I am taking care of only of steel, I will describe only thing about steel only and not this elastomers. Okay. So the first thing which comes in our mind is, after tensile testing, the tensile strength. So what is tensile strength? The definition is here. Tensile strength of steel is defined as the maximum stress that a material can withstand while being stretched or pulled before failing or breaking. It means what? That when you stretch a material or pull a material, it goes to the maximum load, and again if you keep on pulling it, then it comes and then it fails also. So the tensile strength is a particular stress where it goes to the maximum value before breaking or before failing. That particular stress value is known as tensile strength of the material or steel. Test equipment. So there are two types of equipment. One is analog type and the other one is electronic or computer based, where you are fitting extensometer also. Okay. So I'll just describe in brief about these two, not in detail. This particular analog, this is hydraulic power pack. This is that particular dial where everything written loads are mentioned here. And these are the two needles, black and red. When you pull it, they move along with the load. Okay. Then these are the two cross heads where this material is fixed within the jaws of these heads. Okay. And this is remain fixed. This is being pulled. So you apply a tensile load. Okay. You pull it like this. In case of this digital type, you have a software based on all these parameters. And this particular thing you have to put only the initial values like sample details and other thing. And then when you do the test, after testing, all the results will come here in a printed form and you can take out print also. So this is, as compared to this you have to calculate everything manually. Whereas in case electronics, it comes directly on the screen and you can take out the print also. So this is one of the difference. Rest everything is remaining same. These jaws are there, this tensile test piece is there, everything is there. Okay. So I move to the next. This is a particular tensile test piece. This one is the sketch of that piece, standard test piece. These are the various things which are required. L0 is the original gauge length. This is the parallel length, LC, and this is the entire total length of the test piece. This is small d is diameter of this particular parallel portion, effective portion, and this radius is very important. This particular area is known as shoulder of the test piece, and this is very important, as if it contains some machining mark or deep tool mark, then piece may fail here. Or otherwise, if you don't tighten it properly in the jaws, then also it fails here. So this is known as shoulder of the test piece. After pulling it, you get this. When you join together this is the fracture portion. This starts necking here and then it fails here. This is the total length after fracture, this total length. Okay. Total gauge length. Okay. And this is, you see this area, cross-sectional area, it is more here because round piece is there, so round section is there. But when it is being pulled, the area gets reduced and you get this small reduction in area. This is area. Okay. All the dimensions which are required here, I have mentioned here. I will not repeat these things. Okay. You can read it out. And then there is standard test piece which looks like a particular steel bar. This is the actual sample. So when we go for testing, this type of curve we get. This particular curve is also known as engineering stress strain curve, but this is being done in load versus elongation. So in this case, we use this particularly for UTM machine, analog type of machine, where you apply a particular load by rotating this knob and it goes stretch. So this type of curve you will obtain it. This will have here only a yield point, and then there is a very slight deformation, and then again it goes on this point, highest point, and it comes down and breaks here. So this particular situation will come in case of UTM. We are using analog type. This is the necking area. This is the strain hardening area where you put a lot of strain by pulling it. Okay. So what properties you can derive out of this is UTS, that is ultimate tensile strength. Okay, that is the maximum force divided by cross-sectional area, or in this case maximum load, it goes here. Then while yield strength, this is the yield point. I have not mentioned it, but you will see in the next photograph. So this is the yield point and this is the stress which is required. You divide by area, original area, you will get yield strength. This proof strength, this is also important requirement, that is stress at 0.2% permanent change. When there is a permanent elongation, when you pull about this before yield point, if you take 0.2% permanent elongation anywhere, then what is the stress value which is coming? That particular stress value is known as yield proof strength of the material. So proof strength is nothing but stress at a 0.2% elongation. Okay. Then percentage elongation, the formula is written L0, LU means final gauge length after breaking, minus L0 upon original length and 100, and you get percentage. Percentage Gresson area, the formula is slightly wrong. It should be S0 minus SF divided by S0 and S0 here, and then you get percentage Gresson area. And Young modulus you get out of this particular slope, which is rise and run. This is a strain area, this is the stress area. So divide this within this plastic limit, then you will get Young's modulus. Okay. And this particular photograph, which is beneath this particular table, is a reduction area gauge where you can measure directly reduction in area, because this gauge is graduated. You pass the piece, test piece, and wherever it strikes there, that particular point is noted down, and that becomes the percentage reduction in area. Otherwise, you can calculate also. This is the outcome of the stress strain curve, which is from your computerized or digital tensile testing machine. Okay, in this it is very clear that this is the P is the proportional limit. When you stretch, there is slight straining, and then if you remove the load, then it will come back to its original position. This particular point is known as elastic limit. Then you further load it, it goes like this. This is the upper yield point where there is a highest stress here, and then it comes down, and from here it goes like so. This point is known as lower yield point, this point is known as yield point, upper yield point. Then the same phenomena, it goes here, maximum load comes here and fracture here. So this is this particular curve, whether it was in analog or this type, it is engineering stress strain curve. This line, what you are seeing here, dotted, this is actually actual stress strain curve. Okay, or you call it true stress strain curve also. This particular thing comes when you start loading it, there are plastic deformation, and this becomes reduced, the area becomes low as you go on stretching it. So when you take a small segment of your test piece and you calculate the load, you will always find that this goes on increasing at this point, because you are applying this to a very minimum area, means minimum segment, particular segment of that test piece. So it will be only on the higher side, and the curve nature will be like this. But in general, we take care of this engineering stress curve for all particular purpose. For design purpose also, we take this whereas this is your yield point, this is your, tensile point, where this ultimate tensile strength is there, this is yield point. All these calculations I have shown it here, and their particular units. I need not repeat all these things. Okay, in this the formula is okay for reduction in area. It is S0 minus SF oblique S0 into this. Okay, and this particular down below in the green color is showing the same thing after, before and after breaking. Okay. I'll move to next. See, till now I have been showing you about tensile stress, but a material has got 5 more stresses. All these stresses are known as tensile strength when you calculate. Then it's a compressive strength, shear strength, bending strength, then torsional strength and fatigue strength. In case of compression strength, the application of load is like this. You see, you compress from both the sides. Whereas in tension, you stretch it from both the sides. In case of shear, it's a sliding action. One force goes in this, other force goes in this. So it becomes a sliding action. Then there's a torsional stress, that is, when you rotate, when you twist a pig, like this is twisted here, this direction is. So force direction is in this, it's a LH side, this is RH side. When you do it, you get whatever the maximum load it goes, and then it breaks. So maximum load you consider it, and then you calculate tensile torsional strength of that material. And this is the bending strength again. This is the forces which are acting. This thing is fixed here, and then the applied load is here. You get bending, and again the same formula. At what particular load it breaks, that becomes not on the load, but the maximum value it takes during breaking, that you take, and then you divide by area, you will get bending strength. Torsional fatigue strength I have not seen here, the forces acting on fatigue strength, because in this case forces are like this, either this or rotating. It is generally in a dynamic condition where the piece is moving like gears and shafts and all those things. So where the piece is either rotating or it is going to and fro. So in that particular case, the stresses will be fatigue stress, and when you calculate it, it's a different formula. Fatigue has got a different way of calculation. It's a different, so I'll not tell all these things because it's not my area. So in that case we can consider, or we can calculate even fatigue strength also. So these are the various forces which are acting when there are various types of stresses. Okay. This is just for your knowledge. This I have shown you something, daily life examples of all the different 6 strengths which I have shown earlier, like tensile one, springs are there, then chest expansion, this I have explained in my intro. Then this is compression spring where you compress from both the sides. Then this is sliding, scissor is there, you cut a piece, the piece, there's 2 scissors and it slides here, and then when you press it, then it gets hurt. So sliding force is applied here. In case of bending, this example is there, like a leaf spring, where there are axle and they apply the bend. So this particular strength is called example of bending strength. Then this is spring, which is torsional spring, having one is this direction, other one is this direction, and it is being rotated. Same as the case of your gas stove knob. Starting and finishing this knob, you rotate clockwise and anti-clockwise. So there is a spring beneath this. When you rotate, it goes in this. Again, you rotate this. So this becomes a torsional factor. And below this is your real life example when you squeeze a wet cloth, and the direction of the force, if you remember, it is one is in this direction, the other one is anti-clockwise, the other one is clockwise, and then you squeeze it, and water droplets will come out. So this is an example of torsional strength. And the fatigue strength is, basically I have shown a very usual example, that is your toothbrush. When you brush your tooth, you apply, you do like this. So on the bristles of this toothbrush, it will be experiencing this type of load, this. And there are number of cycles. After some number of cycles, it will start deforming. This will get, the bristles will get widened up, and ultimately you have to throw it out. So this example is for fatigue strength. So all these examples I have shown, daily life example. Now tensile Precautions during testing, what precautions we have to take? The precautions are basically tensile test piece must be fine machine, no machining mark. Machining has to be a good one, and there should not be any machining mark on the test piece because then it will act as a stress resistor. Shoulder radius must be smoothly merged with the parallel length. The parallel length that I have shown you LC area in the test sample and the radius, they should be merging properly, and that particular area is known as also shoulder of the test piece. So the merging should be very smooth. Okay, there should be no nick mark, no tool mark and all those things on this area. Then test piece must be fixed from shoulder rigidly in jaw of machine. Test piece has to be fixed very rigidly, means you have to tighten it so that it doesn't slip. Jaws or grips must be properly serrated to avoid slippage of the test piece. Whenever you are putting the piece in the jaws, these jaws are also serrated jaws, but because of number of uses, they becomes also blunt. So in that case, if you are using it, then you cannot pull it out and piece will fall. So you have to take care of the serration also. It should be properly serrated. Okay, so that the piece is not slipping out of the jaws. During testing, rate of loading must be slow, smooth, particularly in case of analog. Yes, this is a very prime requirement also, that we have to load it very gradually, because in case of UTM or analog type, you are loading the piece with a manually. You rotate the knob and the load increases. But if your rate of loading is not uniform, somewhere low, somewhere very high, then it will not fail properly, and maybe you will get a wrong result. After fixing the test piece, zero setting must be done on the dial. On the dial I have shown this black and red arrow. So these have to be fixed first, zero setting, so that you get the actual value when you do the testing. Then test machines, analog or computerized, must be calibrated as per the calibration plan. See, every machine in the laboratories or any test lab, they are being calibrated as per their use and application. So this applies to even these machines also. It has to be properly calibrated for load cells, distance, movement and all those things. Number of parameters are there. So you have to check only on the calibrated machines. Okay. Problems and solutions. What are the problems that we face and what are the possible solutions? One is test piece breaks outside the marked gauge length. Whatever gauge length you have marked, like 50 millimeter I have shown earlier, it fails beyond that. Okay. So for this, the solution is the check for the rough machining marks in the parallel length. This you have to check. And then test piece breaks abruptly after loading. When you just load it, it breaks. In this case, particularly for UTM or analog type, control rate of the loading is ultimate requirement. You have to load it very smoothly and slowly so that it remains uniform loading. This particular thing is less in case of digital, because there everything is being fixed, strain rate is also fixed, and the machine moves in a very smooth and uniform manner. So chances are less in case of digital. And the next one is test piece breaks from the solder. That's also I have explained earlier. Ensure smooth merging of the solder and absence of deep tool marks. If these are there, then piece will definitely fail from the solder only. And this happens many times. Note, repeat the test taking care of precautions and solution as mentioned above. If you don't get a good result and if you face the same problem what I have mentioned here, then you have to repeat the test. You don't have to report the report with all these problems and other things. So take care of all precautions and whatever solution I have mentioned before testing so that you get a final result. This is the additional slide which I have added. Advantage and application of tensile testing. The first one is it helps designer to design any product based on value TS, YS, elongation, reduction in area obtained for tensile testing for particular application. So this is one of the main advantages of doing this tensile testing, because you get all the material properties here in terms of tensile strength, yield strength, yield strength, elongation, reduction in area, and this helps the designer to design a product based on the application, what application the product will be used in final case. Then he takes care of all these dimensions. So these are the properties which are derived from tensile testing. So one of the advantage. The second thing we get from tensile testing is Young modulus, Poisson ratio, yield strength. All these things are there, particularly yield strength and proof strength, apart from this Young modulus also. So this also designer takes care when he has to give up a factory safety. He has to take care of all these parameters of that particular material. Then the third one is data available from tensile testing helps in selection of particular material for a particular application. This is also when you get lot of data, because all these data are available. So you get data for all TS, YS, elongation, RA, Young's models and all these things. And then you select a particular material which is suited to your application, design application. So this is one of the advantage of this tensile testing. Then the one thing is, higher the elongation, ductility will be higher, and higher the reduction in area, greater will be the formality. This is also an advantage, because if the elongation is high, the ductility of the piece will be high. Means you can stretch it to a good length. But if the higher is the reduction in area, then the formality will be higher. Formality in the sense you can bend it, you can make any shape, because it has got a very high reduction in area. In case of steel forging, standard test is made from raw material bar in rolling direction, whereas in casting, the test bars of a particular dimensions are cast along with the actual samples and then machined to a standard dimension. Yes. Why you are doing this? Because we are, after all, we are making auto components, gears, shafts and everything. And these things are being made generally by steel forgings. And steel forging, the raw material is either round bar or square bar. So we have to take out samples in rolling direction. Means longitudinal direction, not in transverse direction. Piece has to be made, tensile test piece, then it has to be machined properly, and then it has to be tested. So this is for all steel forgings which we are using it. This is the way how we calculate this different properties of the material. In case of casting, we put a test bar samples along with the casting, so that when this material is cast, that product is cast, along with that, it casts also that test bar also. The reason for putting this test bar along with the casting is that it will have the same chemistry, same cooling parameters as the product is having during the casting of that, during the cooling of that particular product. So, but then you have to machine it to a standard dimension, and then you check for the various properties. So I think I have covered most of the things. I have taken care of important things which are required during the tensile testing. And I hope you will like this presentation as you have liked my earlier presentation. Though not in English, it is Hindi. But if I get a good response, I will make also parallel English videos also for all those who are not familiar with this Hindi language. So thanks for watching my program and sparing your valuable time in watching this program. If you like this program, then please like it, comment, and if you are new to my channel, then please subscribe it also. Thank you. Thank you very much. The next video will be on micro examination. This will come after some time. Till then you wait. Okay. Thanks again.